Good evening. It is Monday, March 11th, and we are going to go right to Samantha B. Oh, where are you, Samantha B? Let me grab it. I thought I was all prepared. Obviously not.
This is Samantha B, and we are starting a little Nutrition and Fitness 101. It is...
Hold on. Here, I thought I was all prepared, and I'm totally not. Alrighty.
It's January, February, March 11th. And we're going to get right to it. So my overall topic, I guess I have a couple. My overall topic, I guess I'm going to just start off with saying that it's about what should your life look like. And we're going to kind of hit those topics and hit those points along with a couple others as we move through. Now, a little bit of housekeeping. I had a great question get asked, and I say it's a great question because I want you guys to never stop asking questions when you don't know. Whether it feels like it's obvious for some or not obvious for others, if you don't ask and you don't do research and question why you're doing what you're doing, then you're never going to learn what's right, wrong, or what's going to work for you. So the question that was asked was, when's the best time to exercise, and if there was any research that was done with that. So I loved some of the responses that people had said. You know, it's easier for me to work out in the morning because then sometimes my life gets too busy. Sometimes I like to work out with a partner because then I can stay motivated and I push myself more. Some people said that they work out when their kids have childcare. Some say when they have nap time. And all these reasons that they had were because they were given themselves, they had time, okay? Now, there's going to be days, times, and life experiences when you're going to come up and down with how your time management is going to be changed. Maybe it's a job position. Maybe you go to work from 9 to 5. So if you're going to work from 9 to 5, you actually have plenty of time in the front of your day or the back of the day. So you actually have an opportunity either in the front or back. It really depends on what your other extracurricular activities are. Now, are you packing lunches? Are you making dinner? Are you having date night? Are you part of a Bible study or a softball team, or you're doing whatever? It really depends on what's going on in your life right now with the people that you share your life with. So whoever lives in your household. Now, whether it's your mother, your father, your boyfriend, your roommate, usually has something to do with your own lifestyle. And if you have kids, then you know that you're kind of based off of their lifestyle. So when people ask and are trying to factor in their days, I think that's awesome, because having an understanding of when they're most productive is great, but let it be true. For my example, I said when I have reliable childcare. Now, I have time to work out right now while I'm making this call, but it's not a reliable time because I don't know if my daughter's going to get up. I don't know if I'm going to need to go upstairs. I don't know how many things I can get done later because she's going to be up. So right now is not a reliable time for me. So I work out at right around 3 to 4 to 5 start time, which is the later half of my day considering I get up at 4 a.m. So it's not ideal. It's not my first choice. Would I like to get up and work out? Absolutely, but that is not an option for me. I would not want to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and go and work out and then have to work, and I'd be exhausted. I'd have to go to bed really, really early. So for me, what works out for me is budgeting my time from what I need to do with the specificity of training that's going to allow me to hit my goal. So the client that had asked this question, I was wondering if they were asking the question because of the results that they're getting from their current exercise program. And so that would be my first question. Like, okay, so depending on what time you're choosing to exercise, you are now been completing whatever exercise program that you're working on for whatever time. Let's say you're working on it for 30 days. After 30 days, you should be seeing some type of improvement, especially if you just started an exercise program, okay? So if you just started an exercise program and you don't feel any different, let's have a discussion about how you're feeling, Okay? Let's have a discussion about things that might be feeling better, things that might be feeling worse, things that you might not be feeling at all. The other thing that I wanted to bring up is that somebody mentioned that they work out early in the morning so that they are half asleep by the time that they are done their workout. And that I struggled with. That comment to me, I struggled with. And I'll tell you why. So this kind of leads us into, what do you think your life should look like? Okay. So here we are preaching to you this Mama G's lifestyle, where we're telling you that we want you to live a long and healthy, independent life. And the way that you're going to do that is by eating nutritious and delicious, and by actually choosing to move with your body. So allowing your body to be challenged in workouts, but then when it's not in workouts, to be less challenged because you're stronger, you're fitter, you have more stamina, you have more strength. So with that being said, when people say to me that they are half tired, or they zone out, or they're doing 3 other things while they're doing exercise, that to me means that they're not stimulated in their workouts. That their workouts are either, one, boring, they have no goal, or their goal is hindered behind something else. So I want to be really specific. So when I talk to you guys about strength training, I say it's pretty much one of the most important things that you can do to improve strength and composition and allow your body to balance. It's challenging to find somebody to work with that can actually understand imbalances, and I understand that and I appreciate it. But there's so many wonderful trainers in this world, in this nation, in cities and towns that go unnoticed. Doing a little bit of research and going into a session with the mindset of how you're feeling before and how you're feeling after, and if you have progress within 30 days, is a good idea to see if it's working for you. So when you say something like, I'm asleep for better half of my workout, you might be saying it joking, but it did give me this content that I do want to share. When you're going to the gym with the idea of just to lose weight, your attitude is to just get it done. Just go there and get it done. And it doesn't matter how you feel after. That you are just going to push yourself until you can't push anymore. And that's kind of where I have a hard time with people always wanting to go into the red zone, always trying to push as hard as they can. When they do it with a frequency that makes sense for progression, I'm fine with. But when every day, day after day, workout after workout, it's constantly about putting demand on their body, that to me seems like torture. To me, if you show progress, your body responds to it well, you are feeling accomplished and motivated, and your life is better and happier because of that form of exercise, then continue doing it by all means. I think that by having progress notes that are actually like, oh, I used to be able to do this, now I can do this, and I'm red zone, and I'm awesome, and I feel so good when I'm going for walks, I feel so good whenever I'm doing anything. But if that's not the case, then I think that it's too much demand on your body. But when you go in to an exercise program and you have a goal of improving leg strength, let's just use the idea of, I'm going to try to improve leg strength, so I'm going to be working on my back squat. It changes the emphasis to, I'm going to the gym to murder myself. It's, I'm going to work on pushing my knees out wider. I'm going to work on setting my shoulders tighter. I'm going to work on staying taller. I'm going to work on trying to engage my heel during my drive up. I'm going to try to work on making sure my hips are behind myself when I start my descent. When you have things to work on that are really specific, and the goal is to improve leg strength, then you have a purpose, you work a progression, you then execute, and results are driven. Instead of, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to do exercise, and it's going to be over in an hour. Do you know what I'm saying? It's an attitude. It's I am going to accomplish something that is going to improve me for my health and my strength and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, I'm not regretting it. I'm not, I've got to squat today. I'm going to be working on something. So depending on the type of style of training that you're doing, let's just use running, okay? So you want to run, or say you want to run the Boston Marathon, which has been a goal of mine for as long as I can remember. I'm not training for that right now, but at some point I will come back into it. As you get older, it becomes easier. So I want to use age as my as a factor to help. Anyway, So if you're trying to train for the Boston Marathon, you know that you have to run a split at a specific time. So if you can't run that split consecutive times, then you have to work on it. You have to work on it gradually. You have to do different things in order to produce speed. So instead of going, I'm going to go run 26.2 miles, you break it up. I say, okay, today my objective is to run 4 sets of 800 meters, and I'm going to try to go sub-pace time, so that when it comes to working at pace, it doesn't feel as uncomfortable. And then on my day 2 of my program, I'm going to go out and I'm going to hold pace every other mile and then come under pace by a minute for a mile to give myself a little rest. You can be as specific, as in the specificity of training, as you want to do to produce a goal, okay? So remember that I've said to you guys since the very beginning that my goal for you is to live a long and healthy, independent life with a body that feels great every day. Will you have minimal soreness? Absolutely. But you shouldn't feel incredibly sore every single day, or you're putting a lot of extra strain it's not necessary. You can have the same outcome with less of an aggressive tactic in order to live a long and healthy, independent life with strength, cardio, and mobility in your program. But you need a way to have a purpose, you need a way to have a progression, and you need to execute, and then your results will be driven. So let's just say that your goal is cardio for the day, and let's say that you're going to do a 45-minute list. You're going to attack it with an attitude that says, okay, I've got 45 minutes, I'm going to hit the bike. Yesterday or last week or the week before that, I was really sitting around that heart rate zone on the very top of it, but I'm going to push myself a little bit higher and see if I can maintain that nice cardiac output that was about the same in ranges, but challenge myself a little bit more. I'm going to stay very involved. I'm going to listen to my body. Okay, about 10 minutes in, I'm really starting to feel it. Okay, am I going to be able to do this? And you motivate yourself in a way that doesn't take you out of it. Oh, I want to zone out. Listening to music and listening to podcasts, whatever it happens to be, is great. But you need to be reminding yourself that the purpose that you are doing this is become living a long and healthy life, not wishing it away, because when you can't do it, when you can't get up and do 45 minutes of rest, when you're sitting on your bed because of an injury, or you're sitting on your bed because of a health issue, or you're sitting on your bed because of laziness, when you're not doing it, that's when you're not winning, or you should be zoned out. When you're in it and enjoy it, because not everybody is able to participate in this wonderful life, an active life, this wonderful life, a nutritious and delicious life, a wonderful life, Mama G's lifestyle. So you're a special breed. You have chosen to take your own health into your hands by using food and fitness as your recipe and or your prescription in order to improve your health. Now, I want to go back to the overall topic of what should your life look like. Now, lots of times I ask people, oh, what do you think this should look like, so on and so forth. And the first thing that they say is an aesthetic goal. Oh, I want to be a size 4. I want to have 6-pack abs. I want to have perfect children. I want to have a husband that's like my best friend, or a wife that's like my best friend, aka my husband. And I want to have money that's coming out of my armpits. And oh yeah, I want to be healthy. Rewind. Because if you were a size 4, you had a 6-pack, you had perfect children, your husband was your best friend, he was wonderful, and you had money coming out of your ears, you're diagnosed with some terrible metabolic disease, and you die the next week, who gives a shit anyway? You have completely blown this perfect life, apparently, that you had by not eating nutritious, delicious, and not being regimented about fitness and actually improving your overall goal of health. Now, of course, there's things that are going to run into that of the equation that we can't explain. And there's a different purpose in their life for going soon in a car accident, or going soon with a terminal illness, or going soon for whatever reason, okay? But when you are living your best life and you just happen to be diabetic, or I'm saying you have now produced diabetes in your life, or you have these really high risk factors for heart disease, and you're just not actually taking it serious, because you're going to wait. And a lot of times this is what happens. You wait until, oh, I have hypertension. Oh, I'm getting put on this medication. Oh, I'm completely unhealthy. And it doesn't matter if you're size 4, you have six-pack abs, your husband's your best friend, your kids are perfect, you have money coming out of your ears. At that point, it doesn't matter. And then you're willing to do anything. So here's the point. What is your life supposed to look like? Your life is supposed to look like whatever it looks like right now. So whether you are a size 4, you have six-pack abs, you have a perfect husband and perfect kids, you have money coming out of the ears, doesn't even matter. If you are living, you're eating, you're snacking all day long on crappy food, never eating meals, if you are watching TV until your eyes bleed, if you are too lazy to get up and get your mail every single day, if you lie that your kids don't throw tantrums and go nuts and whatever, you're doing yourself a disservice. Your own life is your own life right now. But here's the secret. What your life should look like is however you want it to play out. So me and Gina had this discussion today, and it's been coming up multiple times. Just because you don't do something doesn't mean that you can't start. I recently, I think I've shared with you this in the past, I always wanted my family to be able to sit down and eat meals together, always. I was so jealous of my high school, my middle school and high school boyfriend, their family. I remember going over there, they would sit down, they would say a prayer, and they would eat together. And I remember we would have to be there, and he would be like, oh, Sam, like, we have to go eat with my family. And I was like, ooh, like, and I was so attracted to that. Now, looking back on it now, my parents probably would have found that very attractive for themselves, but that's not the life that they had. They had a work schedule that was completely different, and that's what we needed to do in order to keep food on our table, clothes on our backs, college, whatever you call them, college money put in the bank, and enough money for us to take a trip here and there. And that's what was important to them, for us to be molded into the kids and the people that we have now been. And it all worked out fine. But guess what? I wanted to have more family dinner. So guess what I do? I decided to do that. I recently I have great memories growing up at church with my meme, even my grandmother that passed away when I was very young, and with my mom. And so I can remember being with a couple of my friends at Sunday school. And when I married my husband, you know, he was Jewish. It was very interesting. Like, we didn't really know like how this was all going to pan out. Like, before we had kids, it was like, you know, okay, we'll definitely be both. But I started really feeling more connected to my faith. And so me and my daughter have really made it a point to be practicing our faith and learning more about our faith and trying to live more in our faith. And for me, it's really helped me, but it didn't just fall into my lap. I had to start actually taking steps to make that change. It doesn't matter what it is. I know for some of you, the food and the fitness feel incredibly challenging. But I'll tell you right now, whatever it is that you think that your life should look like is what it could look like, as long as you have a purpose, you have a progression, steps towards something, you execute that, and the results will be driven. This isn't just something that I created up, although I would love to take credit for it. That's what happens when you start being a more productive person in whatever it is that you're trying to work on. Now, Samantha B here, a fitness expert for Mama G's Lifestyle. Of course, I'm going to preach to you to try to incorporate more activity, trying to incorporate more of the fitness macros that I've worked so hard on trying to let you understand, that you still are fighting it. Why? When you have completed the fitness macros, and for some of my new people right now, I'm very excited for you guys. You're in your month 1. You've got your cardio, you've got your mobility, and you've got your strength. And your strength is very basic right now. You're doing you're doing Superman planks, you're doing some bicep curls, you're doing some tricep extensions. That's great, but it's going to grow. And I want you to try to challenge it. So when you start on week 1 and you're doing 10 pounds, I want you to try to go to 12 pounds. On week 3, I want you to try to go to 15 pounds. And if you can't, and you can just progress that one progression on the first one, great. But when month 2 comes on and month 3 comes on, you're going to be working with actual strength progression. Now, once you've graduated from the Mama G's lifestyle, you are up and for the grad to start making your exercise routine more specific to what you want to do. So if you're doing, I had this question come up, HIIT training, and you think it's strength training, it's not. It's not the same thing. It has a different, it's different. Strength training, you do not get your heart rate up into the red zone. You just don't. It's not the same energy system. So is there elements of strength in HIIT training? Yes, absolutely, but it's not strength training. Strength training, you actually sit down. You take rest, appropriate amounts of rest, between 2 and 5 minutes, depending on how heavy the set is. And you work on a progression that shows you that you're getting stronger. Now, I've made it very clear that I could help people with that, but I can't help people unless they're willing to put in some work. There's so many programs on the internet for very inexpensive. I mean, Meg Squats has one that I know that it just came out named, what is it called? I don't know what it's called, but anyway, there's so many programs that you could utilize, that you could follow. Ashley Warner has so many that have videos and so on and so forth. You could definitely reach out to me for something, but I'm not going to do any more online training unless people send me videos. I'm not doing it anymore. To me, my price point is where it is because that's how much time it takes me to utilize making a good program for you, but I need to have a little bit of work because I can't see if it works. And then I don't feel like I did my job, and I don't want to feel that way because I like being successful in what I do. I like to help when I can. When I can't, I like to say, here, try this, or talk to them. So at this point, I want to bring it back to what should your life look like? Well, once you've done the experiment, I hope that you have reached the healthy body weight that you are looking to achieve. And for some of us, that the experiment drags on because maybe one, we had terrible metabolism coming into this and we really need to work on it. Maybe your fitness was really low. We weren't really able to offset those calories. Maybe you had to jump into slim down because you were having a hard time managing the carbohydrates and your body wasn't burning them appropriately. Eventually you'll come back to the old experiment ways. But once you get through the experiment, you've learned. You're going to do mobility, you're going to do cardio, you're going to do strength. And then when you jump back into the lifestyle, you still should be trying to do those 3 things. So you remember working on the program 4x5 push-ups, and then they go 4x8, they go 4x10. I can't remember exactly what it is. It's not in front of me. But there's a progression. And you should be taking rest in order to do that perfect push-up again and try to challenge yourself through different variations of the push-up. If you're not using that tall push-up position, you could just as easy interchange that push-up with a dumbbell chest press or a barbell chest press, or you could just as easily turn it into an overhead press or an overhead push press. You could just as easily turn that into a dumbbell bent over row or a barbell bent over row, and you could interchange and use that format. Like I told you before, going into the experiment, not only do you get so much information to understand your knowledge in nutrition, but you get the tools to have a platform of you could interchange any of those exercises. If you wanted to ask me, hey, does it work for me to throw in a pull-up over here? Yeah, and I would tell you, yeah, or I would say, try doing it on the second exercise instead. But you need to be doing more research. You need to shoot a little thing into Google or YouTube or whatever and start Googling some stuff. Pelvic peels and bird dogs and that kind of stuff. That's a pretty universal term. And I want you guys to get good at it and own it. And when you go to a gym setting and you have to do pelvic peels 3x10 or 4x10 or whatever you're working on, own it. Don't be embarrassed that you're doing pelvic peels. Own the fact that you're improving your mobility so that your core is stronger. Own when you're doing a bird dog that you're managing this really tight physique and your frame is staying in control and you're showing an exercise that can be viewed as very simple as very challenging. That's awesome. You have the attitude. You have the mindset. It's the way that you carry it. It's the way that you improve it. It's the way that you get results. Now, I wanted to bring up one thing. I'm going to go back just a little bit. So remember I told you you went to fitness macros, you did all that, and then you go into the lifestyle, and then you're kind of like, okay, what am I going to do? And so when you're doing like Spartan races and stuff, I would say those HIIT training classes are an excellent idea, right? That you're definitely going to be getting your heart rate up and then bringing it up and getting back down. So much like a Spartan race type of deal, right? And then you figure out the volume that you would need to improve that and so on and so forth. But the goal would be to improve the heart rate conditioning, not necessarily the exercises, if that makes sense. If you were going to be doing, you were going to try to improve your leg strength, then you would need to be working on some exercises that improve leg strength. For example, deadlifts, back squats, front squats, lunges, whatever they happen to be, and those could be your accessory movements. Okay, and you'd have to be working progression on that. If you're trying to develop upper body strength, it's the exact same thing. Or maybe you're trying to run a half marathon, then you're going to be focusing on running and trying to complete that with a progressive overload that makes sense for you to be growing your endurance each week. Now, the word cross training. Okay, I just want to touch on this for a second. When you're cross training, it's off of the specificity of training that you're working on. So for Sam, I weightlift, I do snatch, clean, and jerk, variations of those two exercises. That is going to be my specificity training. Okay, that's what I'm working on. That's my goal. When I go to the gym, okay, I know today I'm going to be working on blah, 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 all related to two specific lists. My cross training, therefore, could be this week I'm going to. Last week I was supposed to start swimming. This week I will start swimming. So I'm going to swim one day, and I'm going to, I have another 4x, so this week, another 100. I have another running conditioning thing. So that will also be considered cross training for me because that's not the type of training that I'm doing, okay? Now for somebody that's doing Spartan training or the HIIT training, your cross training is not going to be lower intensity HIIT training. It has to be something else. So say you're going to go for a list. So you're going to bring down intensity, or you're going to do something different like play tennis, or you're going to go, I don't know, it could be anything. Swim as well. I mean, swimming is a great one because you remove the impact, which is great. So maybe if you're used to doing the rower, or you're used to doing the erg, the standing erg, or you're used to doing assault bike, or you're used to doing those type of things, maybe you're doing something a little bit less intense. Maybe it's a spin class, okay, that maybe is less interval based, okay? And then what was my other one? Running. Okay, so if you're running, then you're going to try to do something without any impact. So maybe it's an elliptical, maybe you're going to be doing a HIIT class, right? That would be a cross training because you don't train that way for, your exercise. So where does LifeWOD fall into all this? Dun, dun, dun. It depends on what you're training for. So LifeWOD is a different variations of cardiovascular exercise, elements of strength, but it's not a strength training program, and mobility. So it allows you to kind of dabble in a little bit more of everything. So if you were going to train for, say, a half marathon, you could also do LifeWOD. If you're going to train strength training like Mama G, she also does LifeWOD. That's what Lisa Photo, she strength trains and does LifeWOD. If you were going to do, what's the other one I was saying? Oh, if you're doing the HIIT training, the Spartan training, what are you doing at the HIIT classes? LifeWOD isn't necessarily a good cross train for you. It's kind of doing similar types of training most of the time, except for the mobility elements. Okay, so just trying to kind of understand how those things kind of fit in and how you're training. And say you can't get to your HIIT class, then you could do a LifeWOD, whether it's that day or a day before. Okay. Now I'm going to leave you with this. I have 2 minutes. Oh, I hope I can get this out. Okay. I was listening in on a conversation on somebody explaining exercise and nutrition to somebody. And I was sitting there, and some of you guys might know that I really don't interact with people unless they interact with me when it comes to questions about fitness and nutrition, because I don't feel like it's my place to tell them what to do. I think that they want to seek out how to improve certain things, and I think that's what they should do. Anyway, so I'm listening to this conversation, and I'm going to let Mama G pick this up, but the overall definition and the plan and the execution was so rigorous. It felt impossible. For somebody that actually has their nutrition and fitness put together, I still have room for improvement myself, but I do understand more probably than this poor woman that was being explained the situation. I felt doomsday listening to what she could and could not eat, how much she had to train in order to get to the goal that she was looking to have. And I thought to myself, wow, sometimes you're going to hear some pretty outrageous claims. And I want you guys to, at the end of the day, whether it's at the end of the experiment, at the end of these calls, at the end of the 411 of just life when it comes to food and fitness, I want you to know and have a backbone and have the knowledge that makes you understand that it doesn't need to be rocket science. You don't need to eat white rice with bland chicken and or no rice and green beans and tilapia and whatever it happens to be. It doesn't need to be so restricted. You don't need to train 5 days a week. You don't need to, in order to be healthy and to be fit and to have an aesthetic appearance that you're proud of. That doesn't need to happen that way. You can achieve all of this when you start understanding how your body is reacting to your fitness and to your food. You need to stay in tune with it. You need to give it some consistency. So I know, Mama G, please pick up on this because I know that we talked about it a lot. It's a challenge. Mama G's lifestyle is a challenge. You have to put work into it, but it should be getting easier. It should be, you should understand why you're doing what we're doing and the specificity of the snacks being your dairy and your fruit. And by dairy, I mean your calcium and your fruit. By the non-starchy veggies broken up with the starchy veggies and understanding how to build that plate. That should feel like a tool that's not making it harder, but helping you go to the grocery store and build meals that make you nutritious and delicious. And I'm Samantha B, and you're better for the rest. Have a great one.
Woo! Excellent, Samantha B, as always. But let me make sure I shut that video off.
All right, ladies, we are on week 2 of the slim down version of the experiment. So we're going to delve right into a few things.
Gosh,
I'm going to share my screen because I asked for questions on you had, and there seems to be some confusion. So I want to go right to our goals. So Diane, I hope you can see my.
Oh, there it is. Jeez. It's been a technology problematic day. Okay, there she is. She's back again. Okay. Can you see me, Diana, or did I unshare my screen? Can you see me? Anybody? Yes. Okay. Thanks, Kathy. Yeah, Samantha is funny because I can picture the whole thing going down. We are in these scenarios all the time where we're in a restaurant, at a party, in the gym, working out, whatever, and then you can hear the conversations happening. And I did it all the time when we used to work out in the gym together. And I couldn't stand it when I'd see somebody doing something and I'd be going, look at them. And she'd tell me to focus, stop paying attention to other people. So now that we're in her own gym, there's nobody to look at except for Samantha B. But Samantha, had this opportunity to overhear this conversation with these young people and a trainer who's very knowledgeable in terms of fitness, but not very knowledgeable in terms of nutrition and the things that were said and it like she said, it was like doomsday. It was like, oh, you're never going to eat this again and never going to eat that again. And if you want to have this and you want to have that, and it's like, holy smokes. And then I had a lifestyler reach out to me and she says, oh, have you ever heard of Dr. Guthrie? Now, people say things to me like that all the time. Did you read this book? Have you heard of that doctor? Have you heard of this, that, and the other thing? And the answer would be no, because you want to know how many tens of thousands of people are out there on YouTube, on Instagram, selling books, New York Best Times list, who are selling something that you can buy so that they can make $1 bajillion. Do they believe in what they're doing? Maybe they do. I'm not really sure. Are they in it for the money? absolutely do they really care about your health? I will question that. So this Dr. Guthrie that my client asked about and said, oh, all my friends follow him. So easy, like Samantha B, easy to Google, go to YouTube, look up Dr. Guthrie, and heard his spiel. So his spiel is called, his book's called The Plant Paradox. He is 100% on the New York Times best-selling list. He's a former cardiac surgeon, and he's a frickin' quack. You can't eat a million foods. Beans are bad. You can eat, meat is bad, by the way. So, you better get on board with the vegetarian, vegan life. You can eat fat and you can eat greens. Enjoy your life. Because as far as I'm concerned, there is nothing less undelicious and lacking of nutrition than eating fat and greens. I can't imagine. And I think the concept that he is pushing sucks, because our goal for you is to bring your family back around the kitchen table, right? To enjoy nutritious and delicious food that everybody can get involved in, right? People can cook together, people can shop together. You can share recipes with kids and friends via the internet that you enjoyed, all of these things. And the minute we start demonizing food groups and putting other foods on a pedestal makes me really sad and scared. And it's very clear why we are sicker and fatter than a nation, because it couldn't be more complicated. Along with his, you only get to eat this and that, was when you eat quinoa, it must be cooked in the pressure cooker, because they have these things called lectins, which are bad, by the way. No, they're not. And if you eat, what else did he say? You had to cook things a certain way. Oh, you had to cook your potatoes, and then you had to let them cool before you could eat them in order to get the nutritional benefits from them. Holy crap, I'm trying to teach you guys not to eat highly processed, crappy food that's cheap and convenient at the convenience store. And they want to tell you that, number one, you can only eat this segment of food, and that, by the way, when you cook this segment of food, it has to be cooked in this manner. Wow. Woo. I just don't understand it, except for the fact that people are desperate and people are willing to try anything, and it's not sustainable, it's not enjoyable, you can't do it with your family, and ultimately I don't know where the success is going to be. So the whole fear-mongering, the desire to look a certain way, I hope you understand that is not the goal of the Mama G lifestyle. The goal of the Mama G lifestyle, Samantha B says it all the time, is to be better for the rest and to help you and the people you love to live a long, healthy, independent life. And how do we do that? In a logical, calculated, mindful, and not so crazy way. We teach you how to shop. We teach you how to cook. We teach you why you want to eat a certain amount of carbohydrates and fats and proteins, right? The things that give you the calories, that give you the energy, and the body works with the biochemistry to get things done, to get all those micronutrients, the vitamins and minerals that are so crucial. And by the way, I just today started a new class in integrative and functional nutrition, which is what my master's is in. And let me tell you what, there's a lot of crazy ass people in my program, including my professor in one of my classes, who, it's part of what we're learning. We have to be able to not only look at food as medicine, but we have to be able to look at all of the pills and the products and the supplements and potions out there as well. Some of them potentially beneficial, but I'm going to tell you this. In my practice, I intend to use food and exercise as medicine, and that I intend to use very few supplements. Now, if it doesn't work for my clientele, then they can move on to somebody else, and perhaps I'll refer them to somebody else. But from what I've seen, when we can get rid of the crap, right? Get rid of the highly processed foods that are made in factories and laboratories, and get rid of the chemicals and the pesticides and the toxins within our food, your life will change dramatically. And it doesn't mean you got to get rid of the beautiful variety of food that is available to you at the grocery store right there, right? So when you walk into a grocery store, do we go, oh man, I have to avoid, they'll say avoid the middle aisles. What does that mean? Because in the middle aisles, I see great things. Which I feel like I have my pot on high and I'm burning something. So hold tight, 30 seconds. I actually threw together my cousin Joanna's chickpea soup while Samantha B was talking, and I left it on high. Whew, thank goodness, because I would have been sad if I would burn that meal. Anyway, you cannot walk into the grocery store and they always say, stay on the perimeter, right? Which is where the dairy and the meats and the fruits and the vegetables are. Of course, the vegans and vegetarians and anti-dairies and all those people would say, don't go to the outside of the aisles in the grocery store. Stay with the insides. But then you have the Dr. Guthrie's and people telling you to not eat beans and not eat legumes and don't eat food that have lectins. And holy smokes. Whew. I'm just going to say, I don't even know what to say. Tons of outrageous claims out there, number one. To think that it's okay to just blow it and eat crap all day long, hence the old cheat days. Have fun. But it's kind of like overeating is kind of like over drinking. Did you ever meet a day that you overate or drank too much that you felt great the next day? No. So take it down a notch. And we use facts, not fiction. And that's why I had somebody had posted in one of the pages, one of the Mama G pages, about put their food up. And I said, what's the non-starchy veggie rule? And she said, what do you mean? Did I do something wrong? Well, okay, number one, relax. When I make a comment like that, it's to learn. And there is a non-starchy veggie rule. The non-starchy veggie rule is that you should be getting at least 100 calories a day from non-starchy veggies. And so obviously I asked the question because I didn't see non-starchy veggies within the accumulation of her day. So we'll see if she comes back and remembers that. But, my goal is Samantha B's goal is that you understand, so that when somebody says to you, I heard that dairy was bad for you, how come you drink milk, or soy is terrible, or blah, 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 you're able to say, well, let me tell you why. Not just because Mama G and Samantha B said, but you actually understand the science behind it. And let me tell you something. Friday, I scratched the old cornea. It was a household accident. Happens to us all. I did it because I quickly was trying to put my makeup on, which I do every single day, which I obviously have none on right now, and I poked my eyeball with the mascara brush. Okay, well, okay, no big deal, except for the fact that 2.5 years ago, back to the scene of the crime, I poked my eyeball with a round brush, straightening my hair. Well, let me just tell you this. Mama G doesn't do anything in any calm fashion. Mama B not only scratched her cornea back 2.5 years ago, but she had complications from the scratching of the cornea and had something called corneal erosion. And let me tell you this, as somebody who has given birth with no drugs, somebody who has also given birth to 12 kidney stones, somebody who has broken her foot off, literally hanging there, I have experienced pretty intense physical pain. We're not even going to talk about emotional pain. The corneal abrasion is 100% the most painful thing I have ever been through. And not only have I gone through it once, but I went through it a second time. Holy smokes. Well, happened Friday morning. I'm going to tell you the story because it has to do with food, right? And how easy it would have been to just say, give me anything to eat, right? Friday morning, everything fine. I go to my MOPS. I'm an old lady mentor mom for the Mothers of Preschoolers group. And I knew that I probably scratched my cornea. I knew that it felt like there was a branch in my in my eye, right under my eyelid. And I called and I got an appointment. And so I knew I was going to go to the eye doctor later in the afternoon. And I was okay. I was uncomfortable, but I was okay. So I go see the young doctor because my doctor's not there. And he's like, oh, you definitely have mascara embedded in your cornea. I said, well, let me just say this. Am I at risk of infection with it? Because I don't really want you to touch it because it is now 4:00 in the afternoon. I have homework due at midnight and I need my eyeballs to accomplish that homework. And I had Logan with me for a couple more hours. And he's like, well, I think it's better that we take the mascara out of your eyeball. So I'm just going to flick it off. So let me just tell you this. Remember, I had that corneal erosion a couple of years ago. So when he goes to flick off the mascara, what do you think comes with it? The epithelial cells on the cornea, which there are more nerves in the eye, apparently, than any other place in the body. And let me just tell you, it's okay at that moment in time because he puts numbing drops, which are only used temporarily when you have an eye issue because numbing drops do not allow the epithelial cells to heal. So you cannot use any medication for pain on the eyeballs, unless you choose to dose yourself with narcotics. And I could have, because the day before the eye thing, Elena has career-ending shoulder surgery, and sitting right there is Norco. And she says, Mom, you want one? I'm like, take it easy. It's all right. I don't want to be drugged here. I got homework to do. Well, needless to say, by about 7:00 that night, the numbing agent has worn off. The eye sensitivity is through the roof, and the light sensitivity, the pain factor, I was dying a slow, painful death. And there's no way homework's happening. I managed to get myself in bed. Now, by this point, it's 9:00 at night, and I'm starving, right? And Mark's like, well, what do you want to eat? I'm like, somebody needs to go downstairs and make me a Mama G approved dinner, which I'm going to eat in the dark, laying down. And thankfully, Troy, our roommate, made me a Mama G approved pizza since it was pizza night. And I literally, in the dark, laying down, ate my pizza. I closed my eyes and had one of the worst nights I've had in a really long time. But point being is, I could have succumbed to anything, right? Anything, because I was miserable. And when you are in the midst of emotional and or physical pain, it is 100% the easiest time for you to make a decision to feed, right there, the old emotion, right there. Okay, I don't know if you ever get anxiety, right? I will tell you right here, if I get anxiety, it's right there in my gut. Now, I'm one of those people that feels nauseous from it, so I don't want food. But most people, like my husband, get that anxiety feeling right there. And the feeling is if I put food into my gut, it will feel better. And most of you understand that it does help temporarily, right? Kind of like when I talked about that Girl Scout cookie a couple weeks ago. If you didn't hear me talk about it, how I said I'm never, ever, ever eating another Girl Scout cookie in my entire life. And I had no intention of having one this year, but I got cookie shamed by my husband and my roommate, who said, "You're over the top. Can't believe you can't even have a stupid Girl Scout cookie. You need to have one." And I said, "Fine, I'm going to have a Thin Mint." So it was a Friday night. I ate the Thin Mint. I went, that was delicious. And I thought I could have had more Thin Mints, right on top of that. Like it was in my mouth. The flavor of the chocolate and the mint tasted nice. But I'm like, I don't think I'm going to have any more of these Thin Mints, because really I'd rather have my normal snack, and I'll tell you what that is in a minute. So I went about the kitchen. I was cleaning up, and probably 10 minutes later, and I went, the aftertaste in my mouth from that stupid, ridiculous Thin Mint made in a factory tasted so terrible that right then and there, Mama G said, never again in my lifetime will I eat not only a Girl Scout cookie, but a processed, made in a factory cookie again in my lifetime. Period. Now, the week before, it was a birthday, Sunday night. We usually have a treat. Mary had made homemade cookies. Delicious. I had definitely one, maybe two. But it's called a treat. It is not something I do all the time. It is not something I do throughout the day. And it's called moderation, which brings me to something really great that's happened for Samantha B and Mama G. We've been asked to write for our local newspaper. And the paper that's coming out is going to be on the summer camp guide. And so Samantha B is writing about reducing screen time and getting your kids active. And Mama G is supposed to be writing about summer snacks and nutrition. And so as I've been thinking about what I'm going to write and what that's going to look like, and I'm doing a little research on snacks, realize that snacks are there to help fill in the gaps for all of the nutrition we need throughout the day. And those snacks are there to help satisfy our appetite. The problem is today in 2019 is that very few of us understand what true hunger feels like, right? Because, if we're on a diet, our goal is to starve ourselves, well, if I don't eat first thing in the morning, and maybe I'm going to do that intermittent fasting so that, now I'm not going to eat till noon, so I get away with it then. And then it's like, okay, well, it's time to eat. Well, I'm going to eat a salad because I'm going to be good. Although those of because of our putting things in the MyFitnessPal, that a salad could be completely detrimental to the goal of a particular meal, because it could, number one, be thousands of calories, right? By the time you put the healthy avocado, and you might put a little bit of dressing on there, and then there's nuts, and there's cheese, and there's dried fruit, but it's all healthy, isn't it? Right? But at the end of the day, holy Toledo. But, bottom line is that snacks need to be part of our day, because snacks allow us to enjoy food throughout the day, to provide fuel to our body throughout the day, to fill in our missing gaps. In the Mama G lifestyle, you know what those gaps are. We're missing out on our calcium dairy, and we're missing out on some fruit. So it's really logical for us, for our 2 snacks a day, to stick that calcium, dairy, a little bit of healthy fat, maybe some nuts in there 2 times a day. We're going to get our calcium. We're going to get our vitamin D. We're going to up our protein. We're going to get fiber. And so the concept that I am posing to parents is, number one, understand that we're in an obesity epidemic worldwide. Number two, for the first time ever, our children are the victim of childhood obesity. And number three, guess why? The reason why is because we're buying the food, we're serving the food, and we're role modeling behavior with that food that they are learning directly from us. And so my goal with the article is to kind of highlight the fact, you know, what comes to us, right? Us parents need to take responsibility for what we're feeding our kids. Couple key things to think about is we need to be feeding them snacks probably at least 2 times a day. Number two, they need to be eating the snacks with their parents. So if parents are home with their kids during the summer, things are a little bit more laid back during the summer. What a great opportunity to get them involved in snack planning, let them participate in putting the snacks together, sitting down, right, and enjoying the snack rather than, okay, we're running out the door, here's a bar, or we're running out the door, here's a packaged whatever, right? This, that, and the other thing. It's like, take a moment and enjoy it. I mean, you guys have heard me say this about my husband on the regular. Even probably today, he's a little bit of a food shover if he feels like he's eating something that I wouldn't necessarily approve of. But I would say to Marco, go over, you know, if we're at an event, maybe pre the experiment days, and it'd be a platter of cookies or brownies or whatever, and he would grab it, you know, behind his back, put it down to his side, walk away from me, and then shove it in his mouth. Right? And I can see him. And I go, at least if you're going to eat the damn thing, could you enjoy every single bite of it and not shove it in your freaking mouth? So if you're going to have it, sit down and enjoy it. And it needs to be that way with every one of your meals and every one of your snacks, right? And maybe, you know, the screens need to get put away, or the computer or the work, and you can actually sit for a moment and enjoy. One of my favorite things, and you guys know this, I hate being rushed out in the morning, but really for most of my adult life with all the kids and all that stuff, I have been a eat on the go kind of person. Lucky for me, I've had good self-control with my food. But one of my most enjoyable things to do now in my senior years is to get my brekkie and to get my cup of tea with my little bit of warmed up milk and get my doggies and to lay on my bed, open the blinds, look at the view, maybe put a little news on and sit and enjoy. And I try under every circumstances to make that happen. I will even get up at 5:30 in the morning, depending on how early I got to get out the door, to make sure I have that half hour to an hour to sit and enjoy the start of my day. Now, that's a luxury today for me. It was not an option when I was living the Samantha B lifestyle with little kids and work schedules and getting out early and having to get people at certain times. I have a little more freedom in my senior years now. And the point is that you need to take a moment. The planning and the preparing is critical. You know, we tell it to you guys with the exercise. I cannot reiterate more. And Samantha B says this all the time. Send us, if you're working the experiment or the slim down experiment, you better be sending us your schedule, because it's going to make you accountable to somebody, and you've got it on paper, right? Doesn't mean you can't cancel a workout and reschedule it like you do anything in your life with appointments. But that schedule gives you something to be accountable to, right? And it's no different than your food. Somebody had posted up today on the Facebook group about, oh, this is all the food I had left. You know, I didn't plan well and I need to go to the store. Always have backup in your freezer. Always have backup in your pantry of something. Even tonight, I had no idea what's going to happen, but you guys know Mondays is soup stew night. So I went to Mama G's website and I looked in her soups and stews, and I knew I had carrots, celery, and onion, the Trinity. I knew I had chicken in the freezer. I knew I had a can of chickpeas. I knew I had a can of diced tomatoes, and I made Joanna's chicken soup in the half hour that Samantha B chatted. And now when we're done here, I can go finish that up and have a nice sit-down dinner with my husband and my daughter and my roommate. You got to plan. You got to plan to be successful. You will not be successful without planning. And Mama G and Samantha B have given you the tools via the website, via the Facebook pages, with the file section, all the tools that live there for you. You are the one that, number one, has to ask for help if you're floundering, if you're missing pieces of the puzzle. And I know people are missing pieces of the puzzle when they ask questions. Samantha B knows this as well with the exercise or the food aspects of it. And they'll say, oh, did you not see the quick and easy breakfast? Oh no, what's that? It's like, I'm glad you're here on the call, because this is when you get all the details, right? You can't just like be hanging out over here in the periphery and expect that you're going to have all the details of the lifestyle. You know, you got to be able to embrace it fully. And when you embrace it fully, you will then enjoy the repercussions of the Mama G lifestyle. Samantha B, where are you?
This is Samantha B, and you are better for the rest.
And you know what Mama G always says? It's not about what you lose, folks. It's all about what you gain. Have a beautiful evening.